Welcome on and all to the Math Magic Show. In this one, let's take a look at solving this quadratic equation. So first, let's make an observation. Y minus 8 over y, and then also another y minus 8 over y occur in two different positions. And it's the same expression, y minus 8 over y. And notice beyond that up here, as you can see, there's an exponent of 2. Then you have a number 5 minus 14, and the whole thing is equal to 0. So we try to make this look like an equation that we can recognize and solve, for example, using some known method. So in my case, take a look. I'm going to define u, a new variable basically, that will be equal to the following, y minus 8 over y. Why would I do that and why do I use u? There's nothing special about that. You can use any letter that you want. P, Z, D, U, P, whatever, just some new letter, okay? X if you want. And it's equal to this complicated expression y minus 8 over y. And now take a look. What that allows you to do at step number 3 is rewrite the equation as follows. In this position, instead of writing y minus 8 over y squared, I'm just going to write u squared. For the second part, where right now it says plus 5 multiplying y minus 8 over y, I can rewrite that more simply now as just plus 5u, you see? And the negative 14 is a constant, so that stays. And the whole thing is equal to 0. So this is variable substitution. When I transition from the next step now, from 3 to 4 that is, I observe that this is a quadratic equation. I can factor it. So to factor this quadratic equation, there are two questions. You need two numbers that multiply to negative 14. So two numbers that multiply to negative 14. Same two numbers have to add up to positive 5. So I've done this, and the two numbers will look like this. Take a look. I will have the following. So it's going to be u plus 7, and then also u minus 2, and the whole thing is equal to 0 still. And that is so because positive 7 minus 2 is positive 5. That's the coefficient on u in step 3. And then 7 multiplying negative 2 is negative 14. That's the constant in step number 3. So it checks, you see? Now, because this is now just a product of two binomials, you basically apply the concept of solving quadratic equations, which is principle of zero products. So in other words, you basically take each part and you set it equal to 0. So when you do that, it's going to look like this. For this part, you have u plus 7. You set that equal to 0. You move this the 7 over to the right side with subtraction. So it becomes u equals negative 7. For this other part, you have u minus 2. You set that equal to 0. You add 2, so it moves over to the right side. So you end up with the following expression that u equals positive 2. The opposites of positive 7 and negative 2 are negative 7 and positive 2. Keep in mind, though, that this doesn't solve the problem because u at step number 2 is defined as y minus 8 over y. So I need to go as follows. Step number 6. I'm going to say y minus 8 over y equals negative 7. Why am I doing that? I'm doing this because u at step number 2 is defined to be y minus 8 over y. So now I have to replace u with that expression that represents it. And I have to solve that for y, because the goal at step number 1 is to get y's and not u's. So let's go through that process. So I'm going to transition to step 7. So it's going to give me y squared minus 8 equals negative 7y. What did I do here? When I went from 6 to 7, I simply multiplied each term in step 6 by y. So y multiplied by y is y squared. When you multiply negative 8 over y by y, the y's cancel, and that gives you negative 8. On the right side, you multiply negative 7 by y, and it gives you that. Okay, I'm skipping some of these details, otherwise it wouldn't even fit on the page. So then, at step number 7, I basically have a new quadratic equation. So I need to basically now conform it to ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, that basic form. So let's go through that process. So we'll have y squared plus 7y. So I took the 7y from the right side, negative 7y from the right side at step 7, moved it to the left side at step 8 as positive, and I kept the negative 8 equal to 0. So this is another quadratic equation, solved the same way as we did when you went from steps 3 to 4. So I need two numbers now that multiply to negative 8, and the same two numbers have to add up to positive 7. Okay, so I've done this, obviously. Let's go through that process. So I have y plus 8 and also y minus 1. And this is all equal to 0. Let's just double check. So positive 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. It checks. Positive 8 plus negative 1 is positive 7. It checks. Good. from each of these now, well, you take y plus 8, set that equal to 0. You take y minus 1, you set that equal to 0. And you get values of y. So let's work that out. It's going to look like this. It's going to give me that y equals negative 8, the opposite of positive 8 at step 9. And then also y equals positive 1. In other words, the opposite of negative 1 at step 9. So far I have two solutions, negative 8 and 1, but this doesn't solve the question fully. The reason is the following, that remember back at step 5, you had u was equal to negative 7. So steps 6 through 10 gave you the corresponding values of y. But now you also have to set y minus 8 over y equal to u equals 2. So let's go through that process. So step 11, y minus 8 over y equals 2. Again, I'm doing that because u is equal to y minus 8 over y. And then I'm going to multiply everything by y. At the next step, 12 that is going to give me y squared minus 8 equals 2y. So from 11 to 12, multiply each term by y. So now let's transition over to step number 13. So I take the 2y from the right side, move to the left side of subtraction, basically. It's going to give me y squared minus 2y minus 8 equals 0. And now I need to factor step 13. So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 8. Same two numbers have to add up to negative 2, the coefficient, in step number 13. So those two numbers will look like this. I'll have y plus 2 multiplying y minus 4. Does that work? Let's take a look. So when I do this, I have positive 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8, and then positive 2 plus negative 4 is negative 2. So I've got the right values, and this is still equal to 0. And now I just basically set each factor equal to 0, and that will give me some new values of y that complete the solution. So when I do that, it's going to look like this. Y equals either negative 2 or y equals positive. So this is giving me 4 different values now as the final solution to the whole problem. So now let's just gather all the answers in one place so we can understand everything clearly. So the answers are these. I have negative 8, I have positive 1, I have negative 2, and I have positive 4. So there are 4 separate values of the variable y that make the equation at step number 1 true. In other words, using any of these, negative 8, 1, negative 2, and 4, I plug them into this left side here, and I work everything out with PEMDAS, the value will be 0. That is what we have just found. Okay, this was a bit of a mouthful, quite a few steps, but an interesting problem. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. And remember, the key to getting good at math is just practicing, practicing, and practicing some more.